Immense, arid, and virtually endless, the land of Patagonia is a fascinating territory for thrill-seeking explorers. Located in the most southern part of the Earth, everything here is extreme. The climate, the lakes, as well as the huge ice and snow-covered sceneries. With its 48 glaciers over a 220 square mile stretch, the southern Patagonian ice field is the third largest ice cap in the world, after Antarctica and Greenland. A strategic soft-water reserve for South America, it also represents a risk for the planet if all the ice were to melt. These glaciers remain particularly difficult to reach, making them hard to explore and study. Two Argentinian glaciologists have taken up the challenge. In order to reach these glaciers and reveal their last secrets, they must embark on a bold trip which will last several days across the majestic and wild nature. The city of El Calafate in the Santa Cruz province is the strategic starting point when it comes to exploring the region. It's located close to the Glaciers National Park, listed as World Natural Heritage in 1981. A very strong westerly wind often reaches daily speeds of over 105 miles per hour. The wind is an integral part of the region's panorama. Horses were introduced by the Europeans. They quickly became the ideal means of transport for Patagonia. And to this day, they remain a faithful companion to local residents. The land was previously inhabited by the Tehuelches Indians, and it started attracting Europeans in the early part of the 20th century, in a new rush for cattle breeding, a very profitable cattle business. They built huge ranches called estancias, enabling them to broaden their activities. Today, they offer hiking adventures to explore the region. How are you? I'm fine. Lucas and Pierre, the two Argentinian glaciologists, travel the Argentinian land to monitor one of the country's strategic resources, glaciers. The melting appears to be accelerating for the past several decades. Nicolas is a French photographer who has settled in Buenos Aires. He has initiated a project dedicated to the Andes and the estancias rural lifestyle. Jackie will be their guide. She knows the area perfectly. Partially covering both Chilean and Argentinian territories, the Southern Andes glaciers are an exceptional source of clean water for humanity. The scientific community is currently evaluating the threats posed by global warming on these pure water reserves, in order to better anticipate its effect in the years to come.
You're Argentinian?
Yes, from the town of Bariloche.
Ah, from Patagonia then?
Yes.
Great. And you're French?
Yes, I'm French. I've been living here for 10 years, but I come from Chantilly, which is about 25 miles north of Paris. Hey, Pierre, I meant to ask you, is your name actually Pierre or Pedro? Because Pierre is a French name.
My parents are French. I was born in Argentina, but my mother's from Paris and my father is from the Alps region.
All right, so we can speak in French. That's great. Amazing, what a coincidence.
Here's the map.
Let's take a look then. I'll just put this here.
A very detailed map indeed.
Yes, it's an image taken by satellite. It shows the whole southern ice field.
The satellite imaging cannot answer all of our glaciologists' questions, so they decide to reach the remote glaciers by land, after a trek lasting several days.
Let's use this map wisely. So we first follow the southern stretch of Lake Argentino in order to reach Lake Frias.
The southern stretch of the Argentino Lake is an area we've been meaning to explore for a while. We're able to reach several spots on the ice fields, in particular on some smaller glaciers from surrounding mountains. But the southern part remains hard to access, and we've not been able to explore it yet.
One of our missions as glaciologists for the Argentine Institute of Glaciology is to establish an inventory of all the country's glaciers. This project is linked to the Glacier Protection Law. This law obliges us, as an institute specialized in glaciology, to do an inventory across the whole country of Argentina. The survey includes identifying their locations, list their characteristics, and how they evolve over time globally.
Horse and cattle breeding make up for the largest part of the estancia's activities. For the gauchos, every day is a full day. The estancia includes 12,000 hectares of prairies on the south bank of Lake Argentino, an ideal territory to raise a large herd of cows living in total freedom. Water and pastures are aplenty. The day ends and the cowboys must round up the cows to bring them back to the estancia. With the help of their dogs, the gauchos try to gather the herd.
Last one. This way. Nice one, lady. You make a good cowboy.
The zone we're about to visit is located on the south side of the glacier, very isolated and hard to access. Our satellite images are more or less recent. All these maps were made from snapshots dating back to 2005. This means that all the data we possess and we gathered from remote photography is pretty much up to date. However, the last on-site surveys date back several decades, which means they need to be updated in order to see what has changed. Because of the remote location, these glaciers are the least explored of the whole ice field. The only way to access these parts is after a long horse trek, lasting several days, 2 lake crossings by boat, and then you finally reach the glacier by foot. This explains why none of the data is recent. Our expedition will enable us to determine towards which side the glacier's water run, either towards the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific.
Basically, the idea is to discover the whole world of the estancias, the Patagonian ranches here in the Calafate, as well as the work of the gauchos, how they work with horses and the nature surrounding them. I'm trying to capture these kinds of images during this week here.
Nico,
Yes.
it's for you.
For me? Why?
Why?
Because it's the worst one.
Lake Argentino sets the location for a unique phenomenon. The Perito Moreno Glacier cuts the lake in half, so it creates pressure variations between the north stretch and the south stretch. When the pressure gets too high, water overflows, and this causes the flooding of the surrounding forests. Pierre and Lucas come to study the marks left by these floods. These tree trunks will reveal treasures of information.
These?
Yes.
Look, that's the lake's previous level where we were looking for. Notice how they are all facing the same direction. They're parallel to the shore, which means perpendicular to wave movements. I think that this must be the lake's highest point before it overflows. Do you recall this being the same overspill level?
No, it has varied over the years.
It varied?
Yes, it's varied.
This level here is clearly visible. There are no other markings as clear as this one. The weather is nice now. The wind is dropped.
Very different from this morning's weather.
Weather changes rapidly around here. No more wind suddenly.
That's what you're looking for?
Yes, precisely. Pierre, what do you think?
I'm not so sure. This trunk seems to be too eroded. Let's find another one.
Yeah, you're right.
We need to find a trunk with some bark. This way we can visualize the tree's final ring. We can then on determine its age and the date of the last flood. Let's find other trunks. We have one here, and more over there.
There are several here.
Yes, this one is good. Look at the clear section here. We need at least 40 or 50 rings in order to determine the date. Let's mark down the GPS coordinates so we can come back and take some samples.
You got it. So we'll keep on going towards the lake.
We'll do some more surveying there.
By foot?
Yes, we're on the lookout for more markings indicating the levels reached by the lake. And take a look at the shore.
Why don't you leave your horses with me? I'll take them back to the ranch. How's that?
Perfect. See you back at the camp.
Sounds good.
Very well. See you later.
Bye.
Here you can observe the area's geological diversity. These stones come from different layers. Some are volcanic.
Every stone dates back to a different era, right?
Yes, here they are all mixed. Some of these rocks are from the volcanic age. Others are more recent. Take a look over there. Those great isolated boulders.
You told me about those.
See? You have rocks that big. It means only a glacier could have moved them, unless they were brought here by an avalanche.
Before the next day's big departure, Lucas and Pierre ask Jackie for some details on the route they're about to embark on. They wish to pursue the work started on the lake shores and find more clues on the glacier's previous positions. Also, get a better idea of the ice shrinkage that has taken place during the past centuries.
I've got a pretty good idea where we can find that information. We'll just go there and see if we can reach it.
Perfect.
Jackie, I have a question for you. I didn't have the chance to ask you until now, but you have an accent, right?
Yes. If I talk a lot, you can tell.
Your accent isn't strong at all, but I noticed it slightly.
I'm a Yankee. I'm North American.
Ah, American.
Yeah, from the United States.
Where exactly?
I was born in Detroit.
Had you noticed her accent?
I didn't notice a slight accent, yes, but it didn't strike me.
I'm the most local American you'll ever meet.
That's a first for me in 12 years in Argentina.
The beret, the clothes, we both fell for it.
She's even more Argentinian than you.
Today is the big day. The riders will soon be heading towards the hidden glaciers. The gauchos take care of the last details before taking off. Some horses are loaded with provisions and equipment. In these wild desert landscapes, everything needs to be planned in advance.
Look how lucky we are with the weather.
Splendid. Another memorable day.
Yeah.
What are the names of those glaciers?
Those are the Cervantes Glaciers. That's Mount Cervantes.
Amazing.
We're about to cross the barrier. We'll follow the southern stretch of the lake from the left.
Great.
Let me know when you see those formations you want to study.
These glaciers are really huge. And that peak opposite us?
That's Adriana.
Adriana.
The Adriana Peak.
Those are much smaller mountain glaciers.
That's correct.
The riders progressively depart from the forests. They are soon able to see the valley of the Cachuru River. Their first stop will be at the Cachuru Refuge for lunch.
The idea is to take shots of all the glaciers. We have very large glaciers descending on the ice fields, from the large plateau up there behind. You can also see much smaller glaciers back behind there, for example, small mountain glaciers. And one of the goals of our trip is to take photos of all the very small mountain glaciers to observe their current conditions. Since there are some huge glaciers in this area, some are even several hundreds of square miles in size. Sometimes you tend to forget all the other icy mass. But we must do an inventory of all the country's ice reserves. So small glaciers are also very important.
For lunch, a typically local dish, meat sandwiches. In this recipe, meat is thinly sliced and cooked in a cast iron pan over a wood fire. Vegetables and fresh herbs are also added. Argentinian meat is a connoisseur's favorite. It is also one of the country's main resources. Images of bull herds freely crossing the Pampa have contributed to its reputation.
What else? Mate?
Where is the mate? And its straw?
There's one there.
And the herb also?
Yep.
Mate is the national herbal drink in Argentina. It's also an institution and a pastime. You can drink it alone or with a group of people, and this at any time of the day. It then becomes the drink of choice for exchanges and conversations amongst guests.
The mate! Be careful, the water is hot. Very hot. Denny, you must tell us why they call you the Martin.
It dates back to when I played soccer at school.
Really? You were so fast?
Yes, I played on the right wing. They called me the Martin because I lurked near the goalposts, ready to score.
Lao Chin, the gaucho who accompanies them during the expedition, knows this area well. He spends months in nature for professional reasons, taking care of animals and looking after the refuge.
You dedicated your whole life to...
To the ranch.
Yes.
Yeah, I started when I was 14 years old. I'm now 51. In the countryside, you learn every day, and I love it. I've always loved it.
It's very tasty.
Do you like the presentation also?
Good presentation.
With a little wine as well. That would be perfect.
For sure. A good red wine.
The day ends. The team heads towards the Laguna Refuge where they will spend the night and get ready for the next part of the adventure.
It's a man's world, I'm not going to lie to you. I was naive and I didn't think that it would bother anyone. In the US, in the countryside, we see women riding horses very frequently. Actually, more frequently than men. So I envisaged myself as a cowboy, believing that it would bother no one. I must say, everyone here has always been so wonderful towards me. For them, this is a new thing, to see a woman do this kind of work. They often offer to saddle my horse, but I refuse. It did surprise me because I came here with a dream of nature in mind. I dreamed of becoming a gaucho. And I had this romantic idea of Patagonia, which many people have fantasized about. It was only later on that I realized that in spite of my real desire to integrate, I would never achieve that totally. And none of the ranches here in Argentina will put a woman to work.
One of the gaucho's tasks is to keep an eye on the horses once in the wild. In spite of appearing wild, these horses are not. They simply haven't yet been trained to be in close proximity with cattle. They can quickly become very scared and dangerously kick in defense.
Are we off?
Let's go.
Jackie wants to show the glaciologists a very special place. She will show them this surprising spot with the hope of finding answers to the questions she has also been asking herself.
Have you been to Patagonia before, Nico?
You know, it's amazing. I've been here for 10 years. I've been to the whole north and eastern regions, and every year I go back to France. And since I only have 3 or 4 weeks to go back, I always go to see my grandparents, who are in the Alps. I prefer to see places which are way different from those I already know in France. So, I'd always save this destination for later.
And what do you think of the landscapes of the Glaciers?
It's really amazing. So vast, so gorgeous. When you see all the color ranges out here, it's simply sublime. And it's great for photography. The light and texture contrasts are just simply gorgeous.
Did you take a few pictures of the skies?
I didn't stop.
This way.
The path's slope is too steep for the horses. They will remain high up under Lao Chin's safeguard. They must walk for another 30 minutes. Distances are broad in Patagonia. Broad like Patagonia itself.
Thanks to your presence here, I should find answers to my questions. I've always said that this rock here was brought by a glacier. Then water infiltrated these cracks, and after many freezes and temperature rises, the rock's size changed several times until it finally broke.
You are correct. A glacier brought it here. It left it on an unstable spot. Here, there was a rock buildup, and here, a river gushed through and got the land to shift. Try to picture this. The passage of a river can apply such pressure on a rock, it can make it tilt and fall. Then it ends up broken into pieces. When the glacier deposited it here, there might have been some ice underneath it. Then the ice started to melt, and suddenly all the pressure contained in the rock got released. Notice that on this side of the fracture, the rock has moss and lichen on it. This means it has been exposed to fresh air for quite a while now, for nearly as long as the rest of the rock, because there's much lichen all over it. I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure if that's what happened.
Scientific explanations aside, this place has something magical about it, I believe. There's something very special about this place.
What's more, we know that it's not far from other rock buildups, and it's all by itself, all alone, and surrounded by nothing.
Yes, and we always see wild bulls around here. I told you, this territory is theirs. Sometimes along the track we walk down, you can see 10 large bulls pretending to block the passage. So I started imagining all these stories, like how special this place was, of course. It even has wild bulls as guardians. Also, the tall grasses that move with the wind, they look like waves. It's all very peculiar.
Absolutely.
And it's all just for us.
That's right.
I changed it.
Shall we go see the fracture?
Okay.
I want to go through that hole there.
Okay.
Glaciers are able to move gigantic rocks and carve out entire valleys. During the last ice age, glaciers covered this whole region and completely shaped the landscape to the slightest details. Today, the team will reach the hidden glaciers at last. The glaciologists are impatient, but the capricious Patagonian climate could jeopardize the end of their trip. This has caused some worries.
Guys, would you like more toast?
Sure. Is it still raining?
Yeah, it's rain all night. Will the weather get better during the day, or are we getting drenched till tonight?
Look over there. That's where the weather usually comes from. From the south, the southern ice field. It looks like the weather's lifting over there, so you never know, but I trust the weather. Rain in the morning, clear skies in the afternoon. The thing is, in Patagonia, you need to get outside. You know what they say here? The mountains get needy. Yesterday was a gorgeous day. The Cordillera showed us her true splendor. We took thousands of pictures, so today she's a little jealous. She's hiding. She's tucked away.
It's up to us now.
Exactly. We must be patient. She won't be angry for long, and she'll reveal herself to us once again. So today we must send good vibes and wait until her bad mood evaporates. Anyhow, we need to get out. That's what they say out here.
Fine, then let's get out.
Hi, here I brought you some cups just in case.
Thanks.
So how do we work with this weather?
You tell us. You were outside.
Is the weather clearing up a bit?
It's getting a little brighter. Guys!
Wow, that's gorgeous.
I told you so.
Jackie was right about the weather improving. The sky is clearing up little by little. Pierre, Lucas, and Nicola reach the boat on foot for their first lake crossing. Juan welcomes them all. He will guide them to their destination.
Hello. Welcome. How are you all? Have you been to the National Glacier Park before?
Yes, but usually we work further up north. We've been several times to the Chalton. I didn't know the southern stretch of the river, let alone Frost Lake.
It's great that you've all made it here, in this quiet area on the Chilean border.
Yes, this really is a splendid area.
Have you been working here long?
I've been working here for 3 years. Before that, I was in the Perito Marino.
Have you noticed any changes in the glacier these past 3 years? Have you noticed any changes in size?
The Perito Marino doesn't change. It has evolved slightly, but generally speaking, it remains stable. On other glaciers, you can notice the retreat more clearly. The lake we're currently on has risen considerably.
How long will it take us?
About a half an hour walk across the forest. Then the crossing takes 20 or 30 minutes plus another 2 hours walk. All in all, about 3 hours from here.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks.
The forest crossing is the second challenge before reaching the hidden glaciers. Though still far in the distance, their sight has invigorated the hikers. The forever-changing Patagonian weather has jeopardized the dinghy crossing. Very strong winds suddenly pick up, but finally, after a few security checks, the captain gives the go-ahead for the crossing.
I'm soaking wet.
Let's see if the equipment made it.
You learned your lesson.
Look, Pierre,
Yes?
that's the riverbed. The one we saw on the map. See that? It's completely dry.
Yes, you can see it clearly here.
Obviously, water doesn't run here anymore. The change in the water's direction is blatant.
According to information given by local hikers, water levels started decreasing in the 80s. A few years later, it stopped altogether.
Exactly. When the glacier's waters changed their path, all the water that flowed through here and into Lake Frias was diverted to Chile. This means the Chilean side saw a rise, and this side ended up completely dry.
You can tell water hasn't flowed here in a long while.
This is due to the ice retreat.
The glacier has receded. Fascinating, isn't it? This is precisely the type of information we were lacking.
Idea was that water flows has indeed changed, but we wanted to double check. Coming here has proven this correct.
Perfect. Very good. Let's go.
Let's go a little further. Great! Very good. Let's go!
Finally, here it is, a giant block of ice.
Fantastic!
Now we're able to see all three glaciers, the Grande, the Cubo, and the Dixon, or Frias, all the way at the back.
This is precisely where the river's change in direction took place, and this must be the river's old bed.
Yes, right there.
Down there, the bed, we can see it. It's phenomenal. You can clearly see the old level where the lake used to be before the change in water flow.
You especially notice it in the sedimental variations, thin at the bottom and thick on top.
The amount of ice is really impressive.
The glaciologists found the glaciers in a worse condition than what satellite imaging had led them to believe. Until 1985, the area's main two glaciers, the Frias and the Dixon, were merged into one. Lucas and Pierre discover that it is no longer the case. Glaciers have melted fast. In 30 years, nearly 2 square meters of the Frias Glacier have melted away, now replaced by a deep lake on which even icebergs can be seen floating. The Dixon story is even more dramatic. Over 6 square miles of glacier lost, a disappearance which has created a gateway for the waters of the Frias Glacier to flow into the Pacific Ocean.
The ice field contains 48 glaciers and many smaller-sized glaciers. Among these great glaciers, which enable us to understand the overall phenomenon within the ice field, nearly all of them are seriously melting. 46 out of 48 glaciers have seen relatively high losses in ice mass. The Uppsala is an extreme case. He has lost huge quantities of ice, nearly 20 meters every year at the front of the glacier. 20 meters, that's an incredible amount. Like a 7-story building disappearing every year. And this takes place at the front of the glacier. A little further down south, we have the Perito Moreno Glacier, a very unique glacier. According to data gathered since the early 20th century, it has hardly changed. In this general context, where much of the ice fields and glaciers are melting, the Perito Moreno remains relatively stable. The Perito Moreno is unique. Instead of ending in a wide and deep lake, it faces the Magellan Peninsula. So the glacier advances until it reaches the peninsula. And instead of losing ice in increasing quantities, it finds itself blocked and contained. This was confirmed by studying the glacier's progression rates. The edge of the glacier where it crumbles should move faster than its center. It is not a normal behavior for a glacier, when it actually moves faster in the middle. Just like all of the glaciers, the Perito Moreno melts in parts. The Magellan Peninsula slows down the melting and it prevents the glaciers from liquefying fast, and particularly on the superior part of the glacier.
Here it is. There's that sound again. Danger.
Our team of glaciologists decide to slip under the glacier, a very dangerous place to explore. They might be able to uncover some very unexpected secrets.
It's amazing how each crystal is clearly connected. I'd never seen that before.
Neither did I. This is like a 3D effect. You see, each crystal's outlined very well, the large ones and the small ones.
It's like an ice marble.
They all have a unique shape. Totally amazing. Notice how all the sediment is trapped in the ice. There are bubbles, everything, the cracks.
Look at that sediment layer.
Yes, you see it well. All types of matter, from sand to the larger blocks. Water has shaped everything.
I want to take this one back home.
Let's see if there are more like this one.
Go for it.
This part is a tunnel. When the glacier moves forward, it leaves cavities behind, often carved by water itself. You can see the smooth walls that indicate where water was circulating. We're currently under the ice, right under the glacier. At this point, there are about 10 meters of thick ice right above our heads. You can see how it was formed from underneath and its effect. For us, this place is like an open sky laboratory. You can find here all the specific cases you read about in books. The rocks that were brought here by the glacier, the rocky built-ups like what you see over there, there's everything. Sediments of all kinds, large, small, and fine. Everything you read in the books, you can literally touch here. You can see exactly how everything came to be this way, all from underneath the glacier to me. It's a little risky under here. Luckily, we're on the glacier's edge, so it doesn't move that much compared to the front part of the glacier. We're being cautious. Here we have a larger cavity, and it's easy to access. We came, made some observations. Now we must leave fast so that everyone gets out safe.
On its surface, you can observe typical glacier topography. You can see cracks, natural grottos, well formations, and how the glacier's irrigation system is created by these canals, streaming through the cracks in the ice. It's really awesome. You never get tired of looking around. For new shapes, always something new to see. The Perito Moreno is a true jewel.
Hey, look, that's the picket that Pedro planted.
Perfect.
Usually he plants 7 or 8 beacons about 2 meters tall. The picket is painted white so it doesn't overheat with sun radiations.
Would you like to measure it?
Yes, good thinking.
Perfect. Go for it.
I'll give you the GPS coordinates. B1.
B1.
Do you have the tape measure?
Here it is. Let's measure it.
Guys, I have a question. Why are you taking these measurements?
This we call ice beacon or tag. They are used to measure the glacier's recess. The idea is to measure the height at a moment t, and when you return several times, you can measure how fast the ice melts. It gives us an indication of what's happening in this part of the glacier.
Ah, right. How it has evolved.
In the past 10 years, a new generation of glaciologists have taken the lead. We have seen new ideas emerge and ideas come to fruition. Today, we're accomplishing things that were deemed impossible at first.
Guys, looks like the weather's changing. See the sky? It's getting darker. Shall we proceed?
Yes, let's keep moving.
Nico, we're going up that way to take a few pictures and see what the glacier looks like from up there.
Okay, you go up and I'll take a picture of you, okay?
The main consequence of global warming on the ice field is the rising of sea levels. Because it is such a vast ice field, the loss of ice is equally important. These huge quantities of lost ice, which used to be on the continent's surface, will end up in the sea.
This area stretches over nearly 5,000 square miles. Year after year, a layer of ice nearly 1 meter thick melts forever. It produces so much water, its volume can be measured across all the oceans of the planet. This majority contributes to the global rising of the sea levels.
We consider it an honor having this ice field on our territory. We are aware that it is also our responsibility to study it, to understand it, and share the knowledge for the good of our planet. It also helps other countries to react and take the right decisions when it comes to the rising of the seas problem. I'm going up.
Wow, what an impressive view.
You see that?
Let's take a photo.
Okay. Look at the lake's shoreline. It's superb.
Amazing. Such an incredible beauty.
We would like to get a work team together in Argentina, a team of serious glaciologists to pursue our research. So that research isn't limited to our work only. Our dream is that some will take over when we leave it. We can already feel a certain momentum. Several students are already following in our footsteps.
On location, our team of glaciologists were able to observe the scale of the consequences of global warming. In just a few days, icebergs the size of city buildings can move several meters. The Frias was diverted over the years, and now it flows down a different mountainside. It used to advance towards the Pacific. Today, it heads to the Atlantic. Glaciers have been melting at an increasing speed. This has modified the landscape, but also the ecosystem. The Perito Moreno remains stable because of its unique surroundings, but this is a worldwide exception. Lucas, Pierre, and Nicola head back to civilization, driven by a deep desire to preserve this nature, these unique glaciers, as well as their pure water reserves, which constitute an unexpected gift for the future of humanity.
Shall we go?